The responsibility of the youth blooms like an apple blossom every 4 years, a new rainfall. There's only so much sweetness I can muster while state troopers power wash black bodies like chalk outlines downtown. I voted today for the first time ever, and for a moment I felt like a new bride, anxious about getting stood up at the altar, scared that my country would once again fail me. The train of my wedding dress picks up fallen bones like leaves. When I stand before the ballot box, I am holding up a cemetery. How could I stay home while my country is on fire? Reform is the necessary key to free the birds in cages who rattle the bars and howl for crimes they did not commit. If you disproportionately incarcerate men, women, and children in the name of hunting those with sin-colored skin, how could I refrain from voting? Every 4 years, the apple blossoms bloom and die. Beneath the petals is a graveyard, a corrupt system. If it is time for change, then it is time to visit the polls.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Greetings. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It is, just want to say, that was a beautiful video and poem by Haviland Whiting. And this poem was not choreographed, but created and visualized by a student from Chi Arts out in California. So thank you so much for joining us. And we are here at the Youth Poet Laureate of New York City, the Commencement Performance Showcase. Everyone, we're so excited. My name is Chanel Gabriel. I'm the Deputy Director here at Urban Word NYC. And Urban Word NYC, for those of you that thought that this just was a cool event and don't know how amazing Urban Word is, Urban Word NYC is a youth literary organization that believes in using youth voice to be, not using youth voice, allowing youth to be able to have opportunities where they can share their voice. And that's through performance opportunities, that's through free workshops, that's through on-site workshops in schools, over 100 schools every year, all over New York City, and also through Creatively College Bound, a college access program. And we are so excited to be able to have this program happen with you all. So the goal of the New York City Youth Poet Laureate program is to identify young writers and the leaders who are committed to creating change through civic engagement and poetic excellence. So it's not just about the poetry, it's also about being active in your community. And each of these young people, these 15 finalists have been selected from a pool of applicants, and they've had the opportunity to commune together through our Federal Hall Fellowship Program. After the series of fellowship workshops, they get to be here and share the stage, and we celebrate their work, which is more important. Of course, we want to know the title, but we're really about here sharing their work and sharing their voices, especially as we are, in this really, really tumultuous time. And we have a very important election happening next week. So along with the official title, the New York Youth Poet Laureate gets both high-level performance opportunities and publication opportunities. And they also are joined by a group of other young people who serve as Federal Hall Fellows, who are also YPL ambassadors, and will also be able to just work together to really be the voices of the young people here in New York City. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce one of our, a very key partner in our work with the Youth Poet Laureate program here in New York City. I'm going to introduce Olivia Brady. She is the Youth Engagement Coordinator for New York City Votes at the Campaign Finance Board. Everybody feel free to virtually send a round of applause to Olivia.
Hi, Chanel. Thank you so much for that introduction. As Chanel mentioned, I'm Olivia Brady. I'm the Youth Engagement Coordinator for NYC Votes. And just for a little background, NYC Votes is a city agency. We're entirely funded by taxpayer dollars, and we're dedicated to making sure that our local elections are fair, transparent, and just for all New Yorkers. We offer the most progressive matching funds campaign in the United States, which allows all New Yorkers an opportunity to run for local office. As the youth coordinator, I work with New Yorkers aged 14 to 24 from across the 5 boroughs to mobilize and educate their peers about voting and local elections. And the last few months, I've had the very special privilege of collaborating with some of the Urban Word Fellows, including James Larison, Jennifer Martinez, and Mira Desgupta, all of whom participated in our inaugural We Power NYC Youth Ambassador Program. Just for a little context about voter turnout in New York City and kind of like why this work matters. In New York City, there are 434,584 eligible young New Yorkers who are not registered to vote. Young people in this city have tremendous potential to not only sway elections, but build a lot of public power, especially at the local level. But we can't do that unless we're registered to vote. We know that there are enormous structural barriers preventing young people from registering at the same rate as our older counterparts. For example, there's no online voter registration for people without a New York State ID or driver's license. This disproportionately impacts youth and low-income folks in the city. This combined with the pandemic, which prevented us as well as all of the wonderful nonprofits and other government agencies that do voter registration on the ground in communities, this has led to a 49% decrease in new voter registrations compared to the same time in 2016, which was also a presidential election year. This is especially concerning as we go into the 2021 citywide elections where we're voting for mayor, public advocate, city council, so many important elections, because the data consistently shows that young people who don't participate in presidential years are way less likely, significantly less likely to vote in any subsequent local or state elections. On the heels of the Black Lives Matter movement and all of the conversations we're having about how our local government deeply impacts our day-to-day lives, particularly thinking about how budgets are allocated, we know that there's a lot at stake for our city in this 2021 election. That being said, we're not a generation that lets data define us. And I really think that our partnership with Urban Word exemplifies this attitude and this commitment to really making sure that elections are accessible for everyone, especially for young people. We also know that young people are extremely passionate and knowledgeable about the issues in their communities, but what's lacking is this institutional knowledge of how voting and local government actually work, and more importantly, how young people can really insert themselves in the process. Our partnership with Urban Word allows us to not only empower young people to speak their mind, but we also give them the tools to, again, insert themselves in the political process. We've trained our young people on not only how to vote and how to get involved, but more importantly, how to effectively communicate this message to their peers. And we know that this is important because young people don't want to hear about voting from their teachers, from government bureaucrats like myself, right? They want to hear about from their friends and from people they know and trust. We do have the potential to turn out, right? In 2016, 71% of registered voters age 18 to 29 showed up to the polls. And so it's really just a matter of tapping into this energy, right? And the most important factor in bolstering youth turnout is really cultivating these meaningful relationships with young leaders. And this is what Urban Word does. Most recently, we've collaborated with Puma and Link NYC to create vote shirts designed by local artists, which you can purchase at the Puma flagship store on 5th Avenue between now and Election Day. All of the proceeds are going towards Urban Word, and the shirts are very cute. Our partnership has continued to grow over the last decade, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing what 2021 brings for us. And finally, if you haven't voted yet, there's still time. Early voting is running Saturday and Sunday, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. You can also drop your absentee ballot off at any voting location across the city. No need to wait in line or add stamps. And be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at NYC Votes for reliable, nonpartisan election info. With all of that, I'd like to again just thank Urban Word for the space and their unwavering commitment to uplifting young voices. With that, I will kick it back on over to you, Chanel.
Thank you so much, everyone. So I appreciate, thank you so much, Olivia, for sharing and for being such a great partner and for sharing about this awesome campaign. I am definitely gonna run to Puma to see if I can cop one of these shirts. So right now, we are going to go into the program and we're going to have performances happen. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited. And those of you that are watching on, everyone that's watching on Facebook, just so you know, feel free to use the comment section. And I know our host is going to handle all of that. So I'm not even going to try to say anything. I know she's going to kick it off and kill it. But to kick this off, it's only right for us to be able to really show love and honor the person that has been the 2020 Youth Poet Laureate of New York City, who, well, I'm going to read her bio, which also includes all of her other amazing accomplishments. So Mira Dasgupta is the 2020 New York City Youth Poet Laureate and the 2020 National Youth Poet Laureate. This is, she's a fierce advocate for gender equality and climate justice. She's performed at various venues ranging from the Marketplace for the Future to the Apollo Theater, and she has had her writing featured over a variety of media platforms, including the walls of New York City bus stations. Even so, with her busy schedule, she still makes time to volunteer and read her favorite novels, stressing the importance of mental health for teens her age. And this amazing, amazing person is about to read a poem for you all. Please show some love, even if you don't in the chat, you can, but feel free to, I always say, just send positive energy this way as Mira comes to the virtual stage.
Hi, thank you, Chanel, for that wonderful bio. As I said before, my name is Mira. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and currently I am wearing a yellow shirt, Asian American with earrings as well. And this next poem that I'm going to read to you is called Lineage, and it expresses a passing on and what we are talking about in terms of allowing for young voices to come up in the future generations, as is happening tonight. Lineage. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. Native American proverb. There is a mother here. Her skin has known the salt of broken oceans. Her hands have traced the sun until it became her. She learned respect from a father and his hands, how the bones of dead flowers made their garden a burial ground. Her body was her family's burial ground, her mouth an untamed flame. It escaped and left her with a vase. In it, her reflection appeared and shattered. There is a brother here. He has learned to breathe air as dark as his skin. There are no lights in a city of stars that do not reach him. Some days he feels paper weight. In his dreams, he is flying. He's forgotten the smell of grass in his mother. He's forgotten the sounds of the wind, what it means to fly. In his dreams, he carries a star in his pocket, but it burns from the inside out. It reminds him of himself, that there is a burning within him. There is a father here. He overflows into his mother's garden. Her flames lick his stubborn skin as he swallows the ocean whole. He writes odes to himself until his blood becomes a dead rose. And as the sea levels rise, as they run like a crimson-mouthed psalm, as children curl like wayward leaves, as storms shake their sea blue hands, as these hands overturn burial grounds, as burial grounds become his mother, a father becomes a son in mourning. There is a daughter here. She's been taught how to settle on seeds, but to never settle for them, to treat the grounds as she treats her body, to till the earth until she too is the sun. When morning arrives, she finds the shattered reflections of her mother and recalls the pieces. Countless oceans converging where she stands. You can hear an echo of lineage, the sound of 1,000 daughters, mothers, sons, and fathers. How they become a garden, how their voices bloom among the scattered bones and carry like seeds to wind. And now I'm going to read the bio of a very accomplished author and mentor of mine. So Roya Marsh is the author of Daylight and currently serves as poet in residence with Urban Word NYC. Her work has been featured in Poetry Magazine, The Village Voice, The Huffington Post, and elsewhere. She works feverishly towards LGBT plus justice and dismantling white supremacy. Give some snaps and claps for Roya Marsh in the chat and beyond.
Thank you, Mira, so much for that lovely introduction. Welcome to you and you and you and you and you. Tonight, we will be celebrating our 2020 New York City Youth Poet Laureate finalists and selecting the 12th New York City Youth Poet Laureate. We were just honored to witness a powerful performance from our current 2020 New York City and 2020 National Youth Poet Laureate, Mira Descuda, and I, again, am Roya Marsh, and I have the distinct pleasure of being your hostess this evening. Since March, each of our lives were affected due to the pandemic, and educators far and wide came together to bring the good work onto virtual platforms. Now, normally, we would be meeting twice a week at Federal Hall, but this iteration of our fellowship took place solely online. We fought through the distance and the disconnect and trash Wi-Fi and noisy backgrounds and younger siblings and older siblings to create our own world right here on Zoom. These young people have worked steadfast for the past 8 weeks to get to this point, and I am so incredibly proud of the work that we've created. These young people will be giving you song and psalm and poem and power. So whether you're at your desk or your couch or clutching a phone in your palm, please prepare to be served. This evening, we will have 2 rounds of poetry. There'll be one 3-minute round where each poet will be introduced and perform a 3-minute poem from each of the fellows. And then there will be one 1-minute round, or a lightning round, as we like to call it, where the poets will be sharing their thoughts on voting. As this is an election year, it was a very hot topic amongst our young fellows for this meeting. So I'm super excited to dig right into the show. So without further ado, it is an honor and a pleasure to introduce our first fellow who will be opening up the show. So on deck, we have Nathaniel Swanson, but coming to the stage, we have Nathaniel Valdivieso. So please make as much virtual noise as you can. Go up in that Facebook chat, go up on the Zoom chat, the fellows, and show some love for these poets as they unmute themselves and show out.
Yesterday, I blinked and missed another genocide. These days, it's like I'm waiting to flinch at the news. These days, it's text me when you get home. Write a number down on your arm so they can't take it from you. Don't wear bright colors. Bring eye drops for the tear gas and pack light in case you need to run. I care about you. Just get home safe. These days, it's like I want to duck. Run, I hear gunshots and text my friends. I hear fireworks and text my friends. I hear a car misfire at school, embrace. See, the smell of burnt tar is new to me. I'm not mad at it. And I don't mind downtown, but just stay away from my strip. Like, leave the library alone. Because that's all we got. They busted into this local spot. I know the owner, and she's got kids at home. And let me say, her windows about to stay cardboard a lot longer than Fifth Avenue did. My point is, I wish we guarded our own gems like cops guarded turnstiles. Because they don't give a shit about our strip. They're too busy guarding Columbus statues. An officer intrudes into the local spot. I watch him keep his hands on his gun as he orders. These days, turning my phone on is like getting up in the morning. I hold my breath as I scroll. It reminds me that some can't breathe. These days, I watch the news like a horror movie. Clenched fists and crying mothers on headlines. These days, I look at cops like time bombs. Like I know I'm invisible, but I'm out with my friends and my heart beats faster at a siren. Sirens look like mermaids and killers look like 12, but they both murder young boys where no one will find them these days. Someone's life will flash before my eyes and I feel helpless. Yesterday I blinked and missed another genocide. Every time I see a kid my age on the news, my fist clenches a little less tight. I grieve like a mortician these days. Nothing surprises me, because it's hard to flinch at your reality, and yet I have never feared for my life at the hands of an officer these days. My third eye is an anarchist. It stares at cops and spits as they walk by, yet my middle finger hides behind my skin tone these days. I grapple with a world tilted in my favor. I don't want special treatments. This is not a guilt poem. I just want you to get home safe. Please.
Come on, come on. Make noise, show love, okay? Please remember that I am not saying that these are the best writers you ever heard, but I'm not saying that either, okay? So make some noise for all of these poets coming to the stage. We have Nathaniel Swanson.
There's a quote that goes, behind every great man is a great woman, but I believe that behind every great woman is a new beginning. We met in high school, how every nuclear explosion begins and quickly fell in love. Been together so long, my palm knows her name better than my own. Man, is she the bomb. I mean, she talked like an unfinished simile, like she don't want to have the last word, like the pause before a period. She is a run-on sentence, bound to the satin lining of my sleeping cap. She stay on my mind, and I stay the topic of conversation. I see my reflection, and she groans. Which way you finna crucify yourself today? I see a boy, and she whisper. Which way you finna crucify yourself today? I see a hashtag, and she sighs. I am tired of repeating myself. And sometimes her mouth is like the tide, an endless refrain. Other times it is a flock of sparrows, loud enough to drown out whoever wills her dead, and her body is like a protest. An imprint on a sea of white paper, she leaves her mark out of rebellion or survival. She calls these two words synonyms, blacker than ink and softer than prose. She can make a packed room go deaf with a smile so dope and a jaw so stone she crack rock. I have no choice but to return to her plentiful river, clutching at a never-ending rope like a lifeline when I am swirling in umbre, she all pen stroke and flutter. Clumsy when in a hurry, but never less beautiful. And on nights when the moon could not keep me company, she soothed the raging storm at the base of my skull into a quiet purr, and kept my very fragile pieces together. She is the great woman, not for keeping me together, but for teaching me that it takes a few drafts to get things right, and that a line break doesn't need to be the end. I am the new beginning, someplace between where I've been and where I'm going, a metaphor constantly spiraling into something new. She is the horizon that makes the dawn so beautiful. So without her, what even is a new day without her? What do I put on the page?
Let's go. Please keep it going and flowing for our next poet, Khadija to Diallo.
My poetry is the woman who came to terms with her motherhood only after her first time coaxing nightmares out of children. Making a home out of molded walls was magic then. Spent mornings bending spine backwards, forward, then back again while its still tender-hearted babes nestled in bunk beds. There was no comfort in rock-hard mattresses. If her touch didn't turn nightmares some kind of beautiful, it couldn't be done. My poetry echoes song like my mother. Like the kind that only got one umbrella and still only holds it over your head to make your day a little better on the rainy walk to school, never stutters, and makes herself sacrifice for 10-minute pilgrimage. There's that cross for you. My poetry is selfless like that. Selfless like it would quit its day job if that would keep 5 kids fed, and swallow her dreams to satiate your hunger and quench your thirst. Like when it braids your hair back, you gotta sit still. You answer it when it calls you the first time. It doesn't take no disrespect. My poetry demands respect like that. Still, she's gentle, like picking you up from the playground floor, pulling Band-Aids and lollipops out her pocketbook, but still will run with you to the store for more. She's careful with her words. Will tell you how she loves you and how it'll all be better soon. She'll kiss the concrete off your knuckles because she knows just how that will soothe you. Later, she'll still be honest and remind you that it was your fault for running around like that anyway. You know it was your fault for running around like that anyway, right? She's careful with her words. Never wants to disappoint you, but won't sugarcoat its truth either. My poetry like Nana and all the women that made her her before her. If my poetry could make your pain disappear with village songs that end in imaginary spiders traveling up arms at every chance, she would. She'd sing you lullabies and rock you to sleep at night when you're restless and hurting. My poetry loving and open. My poetry is mother. Tomorrow she'll wash you in nasi before bed to keep away the nightmares.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Make as much virtual noise. We are only 3 poets in, so you already know you are in for a show, an emotional roller coaster. Please, please keep the energy up. Send the virtual hand claps and all the hearts that you have for our next poet coming up, Sandy Tan.
My jade pendant contains a microcosm of tangled emotions. Cleanly cut with swirls of emerald, it dangles from a scratchy necklace hidden underneath my baggy shirt. The coat gem burns against my skin as I walk down the street, avoiding the sideways glances and the lurking smiles, alert and aware. I return home to find my jade pendant shiny with sweat. The reflections of my bathroom mirror ricochet off of it, lingering in the air before ripping right through, like the bullets that remove the names from the bodies, adding on to the crimson tower that is America. The reflection stares right back. The anger condenses the edges of the glass, seeping through the pretty words and scented lotions, turning me into a porcelain doll with a green accessory, grimed with unfinished thoughts that fills the page until the mirror spews the line she hears. Too much, too little, not enough. Spaghetti strap tops are just a distraction because your body is no longer under your discretion. Too loud, too rude, not assertive, speak up. And they say you're lying. Now, it's your fault for replying. What do you expect? It's not like they care when people are dying. Glances and whistles seep through the pendant into the soul, formulate in the brain, replaying, replaying, and replaying, until the anger and pain dilutes into a jaded line. Sadness and fear trickle down in beads of fluid memories, slipping off of the green stone into the clogged sink, embedding itself onto paper molded green from water. It sticks to the skin and sticks to the mind, like an ugly scab you left behind, hidden underneath long sleeves and 2 jackets. It contorts the stanza, huddling behind the cold vapor with the same smell of regret. The stench enters through your eyes and nose, replaying and replaying the feeling of shame of becoming nothing. Not a friend, not a person, not yourself, fracturing the delicate jade into stanzas and lines. Joy glues the pieces back together. The cracks are visible, but it is still whole. It cleans the wound and sticks a Band-Aid on it. The scar remains. It screams the final line like a melody until it replays the future that awaits. My jade pendant can transform porcelain into steel, a doll, a woman, a word into a weapon, not a shield. It calls, it cries for the emotions I've ignored and forgotten. It heals the minds that listens and mends the hearts that were left behind. It punctures the page and stains the floor until the water stops running and the mirror, with a reflection of shiny green, starts to sing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am so incredibly moved and honored to be here and to be listening to these poems. Even though I've been working with these young people for the past 8 weeks, it's like it's the first time I'm getting to hear it. So please, please welcome Jennifer Martinez to our virtual stage.
I had myself figured out in the third grade. The first time I pressed my lips against the girls, I told everyone in my grade school cafeteria that I was a raging homosexual. Language I had adopted from hearing it roll off of my grown sister's tongue. I had kissed a girl, so that's who I was. Her lips tasted like Crayola's 152 crayon color count box, and her teeth had bits of 120 pink flamingo and 96 razzle dazzle rose caught in between them. A 48 Granny Smith apple shirt and a pair of 24 beautiful blue jeans, she was beautiful. My brown eyes found her 64 robin's egg blues and got lost in the twinkle of them. How they reminded me of the fairy lights young me had always wanted to hang in my room. Like if I could make her gaze into light fixture, I would hang one in every single corner of my house and find brightness in how they scrunched up with her laughter. Life was easier when I knew who I was. The first time I kissed a boy, I was older. It was in front of my apartment building, and his dad was waiting for him in his run-down, muddy brown car. He hid me behind a tree so his father couldn't see us and kissed me. There was no Crayola in his mouth. No pink sherbet or wild watermelon to color me red, only overly puckered lips and stiff hands. The only thing he left me with was a ring of spit around my mouth from where his lips had suctioned mine. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't go upstairs and want to put that very same ring around my finger. 13-year-old me was in love. No mess of color. A clear, clean image that was easier for the people around me to stomach. I'm not exactly the image society expects of a queer girl. My femininity makes me the girl who kisses girls in X-rated videos, enough boobs and ass to make me sexy. I call myself queer. A reclaiming. A word taken back, a token of a history that I still feel separate from, an umbrella term, overarching, one that I have yet to define for myself. There are days I don't feel queer enough. The femininity I have found comfort in makes me better suited for the male gaze, so I find myself catering to the fine print of the woman I present as. I look straight. All of my serious relationships have been with boys, so I must have not liked girls that much to begin with. My identity is a novelty item. If it's not put out on display, then obviously it wasn't worth anything. Anyways, community has always felt so far from my reach, and pride is the last thing I feel a part of me hides. Behind closed doors, painfully aware of the lack of proof I have to show for who I am, like simply being isn't enough. I feel shitty for having a boyfriend like that. Takes away from my queerness, takes away from who I loved before him, stripping me of a badge I wasn't aware had to be earned, makes me an imposter in my own identity. Started this poem with a memory so you'd believe me. Still, I feel the need to make you believe me. The notion that I will never be enough to be who I am has been pressed into me like broken glass. My truth is not one I will ever find comfort in taking back, when it's been stolen in part by the pressure I have learned to put on myself. Will never be worthy of anything more than the reclamation of a slur.
If you are at home on the other side of whatever device you are watching through, make sure you take some breaths, give yourself some grace and some space. And please, please, please comment in the chat on Facebook. Leave those comments so the young people can visit them afterwards. Share the live feed on Facebook. Make sure you're showing love, throwing emojis, flames, claps, praise hands, whatever you got inside that chat on Facebook. And send some virtual love to our next poet coming to the stage. Make some virtual noise for Jalissa.
Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. This grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. I was reciting poetry as shots surged through his body. Different genres of music carrying different stories, playing separate tunes, and I feel like I've been here too long because of all the brothers gone too soon. I'm tired of writing eulogies for brothers not here to listen, tired of reciting speeches a cappella, seems like loss requires freestyle. My lips beatbox a melody and hope it transcends comfort, echoes loud enough to fill a void street whose cracks flood with silence, just another prose. Cause short and haste, except this life was closer to home. This life gripped my chest, changed the rhythm of my heartbeat, set the prompt in my pen and made my ink bleed the way my eyes couldn't. Another body mourned, torn apart, ravaged, dissected of its worth, soul left behind. Why do we dehumanize victims? Bury them in blame, baptize the memories of their lives with shame. Family cries Black on Black violence, but forgets Hunger Games. We may not live in an arena, but we get conditioned to pray our brothers ain't killed over race. No, this kind of violence was trained. On 2 feet, I stared down a barrel of Guyanese woman with less of the strength my young neighbor stared down the barrel of a gun clenched within his stepfather's grip. Try to hope the bass lodged in my throat can preserve the youthful innocence he never got to claim because he should have grew up in a church. His neighbors should have brought groceries like my grandma's. He should have knew God. He should have done everything that ain't got nothing to do with his circumstances because we all the same. Built, well-oiled, well-trained machines. We should have stayed in line, better not make no peace. It is not his fault. He ended up in a bag, his height, size, and color. To auntie, I just blaspheme. Stay in a child's place rings through my ears. Defending a child crafted by our same God is me crossing lines that have never been parallel. Will kids go to heaven? Because they innocent. Lord, the kid's innocent. How can one find fault in kids who ain't their own? Pass judgment on hearts they can't see as if they've forgotten what it's like to cradle a seed. I am a seed. We are watered or trampled. I got to grow. We don't all get so lucky. I was reciting poetry as shots surged through his body. He was just a child. When you tell me to stay in a child's place, I dare ask where. He's telling me to stay in a child's place, and you might just curse me there. And grace will lead me home.
It's not that I'm saying the most talented youth artists are in New York City, but I'm also not saying that the most talented youth artists are in New York City. I mean, these poets would come for your adult poets. And you know what? Another time. Don't even worry about it. Don't even get me started. Please keep the energy going. We have another phenomenal poet coming to the stage. So make as much virtual noise as you can in that comment section on Facebook for Serena.
Folktale, noun, a story circulated among a people by word of mouth, sometimes passed down by parents to their children, often considered to be false or based in superstition. In every version of this story, my people have a poor memory. Correction, my people trade memories like tongues, worthless until cut out, better the tongue than the teeth or the throat or our stomachs. I have never seen my grandmother's tongue, but every night her teeth float in a little cup on the sink, pretending to be bone. Before 1899, millions of oracle bones were ground to dust and swallowed as medicine. Then we learned of how they once told the future, and so we stopped eating our ghosts. Modern day retelling. My Chinese teacher keeps asking me if I remember this word that means history or poem, the hour or a room, depending on how you hold your tongue. Careful, or time collapses into just the space between four walls, or you hear a poem once and it becomes your ancestor. The moral of this story, is my grandmother's teeth will survive her, but tongues are less bloodless. Example, white man with a PhD in Asian studies keeps asking me where I'm from, just so he can tell me the name of every Chinese city he's ever been to. These men always have perfect memories. And so he says, once I spent 3 weeks in Shanghai. Twice I spent 2 days in Wuhan. I bet I've been to more Chinese cities than you have, girl with a Chinese name and a Chinese face. But these are not the only things I've inherited from my people. My people have a poor memory. My dad, who likes to start every story with I remember, who never knew how to remember without lying. His favorite story is the one where he meets my mother for the first time. In Wuhan, when they were 5, in Shanghai, Beijing, Wuhan again, but this time they were 7 and it was still summer. The truth is Changjiang meets the Eastern Sea just outside my mother's childhood home in Shanghai, and in the west it floods Xishui every summer. The ground, the dirt floor of Yeye's old house growing soft beneath my dad's feet. The ground wet enough just to hold the memory of his body for a minute. The truth is my dad learned to swim by not drowning, and this is how he really met my mother. And what is memory but a second chance? Some branches of my family tree end in nothing. And you may have a perfect memory, but Changjiang means long river, and water never forgets anything it touches. In one version of this story, I am born without a tongue. In another, my mother gives it away for a pound of white rice and a green card. In another, you bleach my tongue, then ask me to make your language beautiful, and so I cut it out myself. Ask me again where I'm from. I'll tell you I'm a shapeshifter, poet liar, myth-weaving, legend-breathing, living folktale. And what is a folktale but an oracle bone that survived the fire by cracking open in the shape of the future? And what is a poet but the last witness to the fire?
I know y'all see me over here covering my mouth because I'm trying not to say the words to everybody poems. I don't want to give it away, you know? It's magical. We are halfway through. It's been an incredible showcase thus far. You're welcome, by the way, all right, for live streaming this so you can all be witness to this. You are so welcome, okay? Please keep it going in those comment sections and make some virtual noise for our next poet up, Leila Diaz.
The last argument I remember my parents having is when my dad bought a boat instead of paying child support. And he held my hand and told me all of the fish you can catch in the bay, how my mother used to swim. But the first time I went on a boat, all I could think about was whether my nausea pill would work and how my dad said he was proud of me. And I think he might have meant it. He took me dolphin watching the next morning, and I reached over the edge with greedy fingers, hoping to own whatever slimy animal was in my grasp. Something in my stomach felt twisted, and my dad smiled with dull pearls as he kissed his new wife. The water wasn't clear like in his pictures, but so cloudy you would never find me. And there is a cruelty in the camouflage, in sinking into places with no stars. My dad doesn't talk about immigrating, only about chewing the sugar cane, the splinters in his mouth. And our whole beach trip smelled like seafood. They made fun of me for being a picky eater, but I was the only one who didn't get food poisoning. And our hotel smelled like vomit and grief. But this is not an ode to the sore throats or an apology to the plumbers. Just me, out on the balcony. A final I love you tucked into the hem of my pink pajamas like a pocket knife. Like maybe this will save us. Maybe there is something to be saved. And he walked the beach with me at midnight to wear me out so he could smoke a pack alone. And a family stood over the carcass of a horseshoe crab and threw it back into the water because they didn't understand. and we didn't have the heart to tell them it was already dead. And the ocean is not a healer, and she cannot bring it back, and she cannot protect you. And my father came to America on a boat, and my father bought a boat, and my father tried to teach me to swim, but I never could. And my father left years before I did, and I want to believe he did his best. And I wonder if I am safer never reaching the shore at all, and my father is dying, and nothing will bring him back. And the crab's carcass sank, and the ocean invited me to the wake. And I took a rain check and sailed home to my mother, crying from the salt water in my scraped knees.
The phone had to ring at the end just to let y'all know, all right? Class is over, right? You got your lesson. You're welcome. You're welcome. Wow, this is phenomenal. Everybody's setup has also been very beautiful, which I'm super proud of, right? Like we could clip some of these videos and it'll just look like we actually recorded something like professionally, but really, we really just learning how to work Zoom. Let me tell you, and shout out to our tech team, okay? Our deputy director, Chanel Gabriel, and our artistic director, Mahogany L. Brown, who have been holding it down for this entire event, okay? Y'all are really putting in work. Thank you to the poets who have gone thus far. And please keep the energy going for the next poet coming to the stage, Tia Walker.
A Beginner's Guide to Surviving with Type 4 Hair. Step 1. The beginning is going to be awkward. You might find yourself fighting back oil, sweat, and tears, tug of war, pulling every edge back simultaneously towards a small bun every single day. Until your hair finally begins to tiptoe past your chin, just remember that growth and time are two hands on the same clock, simultaneously tacking inches onto the birthplace of your hair follicles. Step 2. Wash day is ceremonious. It shall align with the holiest day of the week. If it is any other day than Sunday, you are doing something wrong. Invest in a sulfate-free shampoo and a deep conditioner. Deep conditioners are a pure substance forged from the earth's deepest, most sacred trenches. They are palm reader's worst nightmare. They will grant your curls with the gift of dictionary-level definition. Step 3. All kinks, curls, and coils are not created equally. Type 4 hair requires rivers of liquids and oils and creams. My fingertips weave coconut oil into braid outs and leave-ins into wash and goes. Keep in mind, this is not a natural journey. This is a 50-mile trek with a shea moisture production facility. It is sitting under your hooded dryer while doing calculus homework. It is etching protein treatment recipes into your forearms. It is sacrifice. Step 4. Even though the 3A girls get to show up with their hair half detached to their scalps, society holds our strands to a different standard. They expect our curls to always be neatly packaged under a bow of gel and castor oil. They want to separate our hair from our history. They want to colonize every curl poison, every strand in iron, every fragment until it forgets its origins. Step 5. Choose products wisely. Your pockets might start to hurt, but at least your head won't. While Tresemme and Garnier capitalize off slapping the word curly onto vials of toxins, you need to familiarize yourself with better brands. Their products are for 3A California's sunny, sheeny afternoon beach waves. It's no wonder their commercials only feature those with lighter skin tones and looser curls. Step 6. Your parents' friends should not come from miles away to gawk and gaze at your luscious mane. The blanket of follicles protecting your temple is not some exotic attraction, not some come one, come all, one night only event. They are another lifeline emerging from your roots. Don't let any stuck-up stained fingers damage your pride. Step 7. Our hair is an extension of our cultures. My ancestors breathed moisture into my scalp. We shouldn't be upheld to higher standards than those with looser strands. You wear your hair the way you want, when you want, and where you want. A gentle, magnanimous meadow rests atop your crown. Wear it proudly.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am floored, of course. Um, y'all are really showing much love on Facebook, and I'm ever thankful. I can't wait till the showcase is over and the young people get to go revisit the comments that you're all putting there for them and showing them love. So thank you for tuning in. Share the event on Facebook too, so folks can tune in and join with us, right? Grow our audience, and keep the love and energy going as we invite our next phenomenal artist up to the stage. Please make some noise for Elizabeth Schwartz.
America is not a dream you fall asleep to. Salvation set against the green screen backdrop of succulent sequoia pines and sunsets dripping with milk and honey so sickly sweet it stains enamel gold. We gulp the Gulf Stream waters, guzzle oil spills as if to alchemize our bones, ivory into ichor into imperialist icon, lest our limbs remain contorted in the shape of the dash before. Jewish American, Soviet American, bisexual American, blue collar American, bedbound American, undocumented American, robbed rent American, starving American, dying American, running out of time American, land of the free, home of the forgotten. But paradise is a dinner table set for one. We pledge allegiance to the bread crusts and bullet shells Uncle Sam passes around the dinner table. Lady Liberty stirs the melting pot, leaving no spice unused, no pulp unsqueezed, no skin unpeeled. But Uncle Sam clamps a muzzle on our mouths before we can reclaim the taste of freshly kneaded pierogies and pakoras fried golden brown, garlic cloves and turmeric and cardamom simmering on stovetop. Instead, we burn our tongues until our papillae learn to process only PB&J, sink our teeth into Smucker's jam, splayed out like blood to water fields of plenty. Uncle Sam tells us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps when our feet are bare and blistered. We can't afford an Uber to the Golden Gates. Happily Ever After is received on a first come, first served basis, packaged and sealed by the last to receive keys to the room where it happens and the first to be evicted. So we learn how to slam fork and knife loud enough to wake the neighbors. Inversion of Star-Spangled Symphony into dissonance, divestment till we stitch together the chords of a new song. This land is your land, is my land, from the bodega corners to marble courtroom floors, from ballot box to alphabet block, spelling out R-E-S-I-S-T, because we are too young and too tired to be sitting on the sidelines, from raised fist to outstretched hands of friendship, helping us off the concrete and onto the streets, because we are more than what has been scattered of these broken bones, from hip bones stiff, from bending under the burden of a history that forgot to make space for them, to bodies whose double helix strands are laced with the magic of her mother and her mother and her music, from morning rush melodies to the voices of my people, our people, rising above the cacophony of corporations chugging and churning and choosing to leave our lives on the chopping block. Our refrain rings from behind the golden door. This land is made for you and me forever.
I know so many of you are doing this on your side. I'm doing this, and this like continuous head nod, so much so that my brain is bouncing from all sides of my skull, because these poets are speaking in the affirmative, and it is magical to witness. Continuing the showcase, please make some virtual noise for Marissa.
My responsibility to the gifts I receive wrapped in blue cloth gowns is the responsibility I gladly place on my shoulders. I make a pledge for the future to keep them alive, nurse them back to health, and hold their hearts steady. I will wheel them into rooms with warm embraces and be a reassuring safe haven when their bodies ache. Future me, Feel the kicks under their stretched skin and cradle shaky palms sprinkled with cold sweat. Listen to heartbeats that radiate and echo off eggshell walls. Count each minute in between painful miracles to be. Let your voice ring with, I'll do right by you. I'm going to get you home. I'm going to listen to you. Embrace the fear of pushes because you're right there ready for them. The ones with trepidation in their eyes, warmth in their shaky smiles, cracks in their voices as their child's name falls from their lips like a mantra. The ones with futures planned with welcome home celebrations and first birthdays. As you stand next to them with skin the same shade, protect them. Bring about change for them, change that looks like swift action instead of waves off concerns, close monitoring and care, not rushed false bills of health. Do for them what others didn't do for the expecting. Turn your clenched fist of anger into easing gestures of serenity. Look your fellows in the eye and press them for their bias. Shake them with righteousness as they stand there believing you do not feel pain in the same way. You will not let another Anarcha Westcott be hurt and taken advantage of. You will not let another Dr. Sims be rewarded. For prejudice can blind many, but it should never blind a doctor's hand. To the future me, as I stand on the cusp of my journey, I look towards you with a clear mind and bright eyes. To the me I will become, I am here, learning our history so it does not happen again. I am here, dressing wounds that have been bleeding for centuries. I will be there, so those occupying hospital beds will only be there for a temporary stay, that the time we invested into inky droplets on school book margins is not the last time you or I feel like we've made a change.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Keeping this showcase going. Please, wow, I look remarkable in it. Wow, I didn't even, and keeping this showcase going, okay? Please, please make some noise for our next poet, Maya.
These words are mine. I birthed them, I pushed them out, my child. Can't nobody tell me how to raise my child. These words will always be my sanity, a dandelion grounded, tethering me to this world. The breath inside my lungs, an extension of letters, turn poetry, turn skin and bone, I would gladly lay my life for. Ain't this the sacrificial joy of motherhood? To defend my child, even if it takes my liver, my spleen, every last breath in my body, and I will do it again, and again, and again, because I carried these words for more than 9 months, held them in the cervix of my palm, birthed them everywhere and anywhere, because when the pen calls and your water breaks, you write. About how these words are survivors of both blessing and curse, freedom fighters and reincarnated healers, how these words stress me the fuck out because they never want to listen. This is what you call defiance in the flesh, and memories I didn't even know existed, miracles I have yet to believe, my heart's outside my chest. But somehow I birthed words that have turned into a banshee's favorite method of communication. They always seem to gravitate towards a candlelight vigil in the middle of Canarsie or a wake waiting to happen in some mama's church. These words are becoming eulogies and apologies for people I never met. The ones who never made it full term, they are the embodiment of my fears wrapped in lettered skin. But there are words I've adopted, nurtured into affirmations for little girls who look like me, and words who are still afraid of the light. There are words I fostered into happy endings I didn't even know I was looking for, a magic I am in constant awe of. These words are my salvation, the Holy Grail, my grandmother's prayers, Negro spirituals that have carried itself across oceans, a continuous breath of life. These words are the future, my future.
Yes, yes, these words are the future. Each and every person here is not only the future, but also the right now. So thank you to all of our viewers for staying tuned in. These are the people who are going to be making the decisions that correct all of the mistakes that we've made, okay? Please, 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 please keep it going and make some noise for Olu. Come into the stage.
Okay. I want to get naked in front of you, but I'm gonna keep my clothes on. I need you to see the things that are ugliest in me and ground me by being the roots to my tree. When I need rescuing, won't you be my night in the night? And when I'm down and dark, be the up and be my light. I want to get naked in front of you, but I'm gonna keep my clothes on. Hear my heart when my mouth fails to communicate and dig me deeper than the usual because we more than date. This thing we've got going on is a title solely on the surface because when we started loving ourselves, we spread our legs and gave birth to this. I want to get naked in front of you, but I'm going to keep my clothes on. I want you to touch me with your baby soft words and listen to me vent like you've never even heard. Use your intellect to push me towards a mental climax while I ride your thoughts so good. I'm the train to your tracks. I want to get naked in front of you, but I'm going to keep my clothes on. Give me permission to touch your soul without touching your skin. Because to this place called love, you and I have never been. Above all, the thing that I want the most is to be close. I wouldn't mind corny shit like food, gifts, and matching clothes. I want to get naked in front of you, but I'm going to keep my clothes on. Because if love could speak, it'd tell us to take our time. It tell us to breathe fire into each other to spark our shines. It tell you to be soft with me because the world already thinks I'm hard. And it would tell me to try my keychain slowly to bring down your guard. I want to go far with you without having to make one move. So love, beware what I require before you come knocking on my door soon. Whenever I get naked in front of you, it is only then that you can take my clothes off.
Come on, come on, come on. They're going up. First of all, they're going up in the chat on Facebook. For all of you, they're going up in the chat right here on Zoom. I'm loving the energy that these fellows are giving to each other. It is honestly remarkable to see young people supporting each other in this way. And I am blessed and better for having met and been able and honored to work with each and every one of you. Keeping that energy going, rounding out our first round of poems. We have 2 more poets left. So please give these poets the same energy you gave the poets at the top of the show. Make some noise for Sue N coming to the stage. Sue!
I was 13 when I heard the first rumor about me. It went around that I had a crush on a guy who was out of my league. It was lunchtime, and right before I sat down, I heard a group of girls giggling. To them, I was a shard of glass, see-through. It was the first time I was called a slut. This same year, I battled with depression, self-conscious. I wasn't as pretty as the other girls. I was too nerdy, and my mom never listened when I begged her to let me wear makeup to feel pretty. I was 14 when a boy at school told everyone we kissed. My lips never reached his, but he still spurred up a rumor. I was 14 when I was called a Trish. And I wondered why I was seen for my curves instead of the words I had to say, as if I were a Barbie doll, only meant to undress and play. I began to lose pieces of me, one by one. And I questioned the young woman in the mirror. I was 14 when a school official said to cover up. My shoulders, a distraction, a skirt, an open invitation for a boy to dig inside me. And instead of teaching consent and respect, they say, "What did you expect?" I was 15 when my father laid his hands on me, beating me to a point where I couldn't breathe. I was 15 when I was in my first group home, taking trains from Williamsburg to buses in Brooklyn, Moore Street to Canarsie. I was always in the state of unknown, dealing with PTSD and depression. I was invisible, wandering the streets like a ghost, wishing someone saw me. At 16, he said he wanted me, more than what I was willing to give. At 16, he suffocated me, creeping in with his hands in my pants. I still feel his fingers unbuckling my blue ripped jeans, leaching onto my thighs, with one hand burning as he began to unclip my bra while whispering, "I know you want it." My body laid frozen, but inside I was screaming for help. I said no, but he didn't hear. I said no, but he didn't care. Slut. That's all I hear. Sue is such a slut. He said, let me finish. My body was forced to be intertwined with his. He said, let me finish. But I already felt dead. At 16, I realized I could never win. In a society where we normalize abuse and we rather victim blame than hear her name, we assume people's lives and we tell young women to quiet down, as our stories are only meant to be hidden and our voices are only meant to be silenced, while all you've had to say was that I asked for it. Asking for it was written on your lips when no was written all over mine. I line up the pieces of where I've been, as if I'm solving a puzzle that reveals a colossal mess, as I'm falling into an abyss. I'm 17 now. I've seen the degrading world built up around me, heard boys yelling out, "Shorty has a fat ass" in the hallways, and fear taking the wrong train without being told to smile by old men. At 17, I'm tired of the men on the street who yell out to me and thirst of a reaction from me, of sleepless nights because I can't help but think of that night when my no meant nothing, my body laid frozen. At 17, I'm breaking from the scenes I've lived since I was 13. To the younger me, the one who hid as long as she could, I'm sorry that we had to see the worst before the best. And I know you feel like no one is listening, but I see you. To future me, look how far we've come. To future me, the best is yet to come.
That's a whole fact. The best is yet to come. We see you, poets. We love you, poets. We love you as people. Thank you so much for sharing, for breaking these walls of vulnerability and opening up and sharing your truths with us. We have one more poet closing out our first round of 3-minute poems. I need everyone to give this poet all of the energy that we gave the first poet at the top of the show. I need you to cheer for this poet like someone said that they was going to paint the White House black and eliminate its current occupant. That's the kind of noise that I need y'all to make right now for this poet coming to the stage, closing out our first round. Please make virtual noise for Jade Losada.
I tend this land, concrete gorges in earth, pillared steel and brick, burdenless and guiltless below its skies. The first witness and last native to this island at the joint of the ocean's palm and the Hudson's stretch into us. An exodus from the diaspora for sins of skin darkening, for lack of sun and barren pockets. But somewhere we search for home. So we bleed joy along the river, northward and across from the land I keep. The croon of a singer who never kissed his mother's land goodbye, laces and tangles treetops in the night, glides into the southern current of the sea, waters the pores of my concrete. Cascading lyrics from our windows return in lush platano leaves on the sill. When our words melt into English arroyos, pavement, that mutilation of Manhattan Island breaks for us. Not unlike my name's mutilation of my grandmother's mouth, J. She imprints the A into the air between us, kneads my sound into burdenless, guiltless skies astride our two islands, Jade. I've been christened a deformity. It dissonates in the reality of a name born of brutality, Cortez's conquest of Aztec earth. The blazing island of Tenochtitlan branded this hemisphere backbone of a new empire. Loose sea-churned ancestors on ancestors, and the clasp of a hand, virgin to that riverbed around the Yucatan sacred stone, invented insignificance in the Americas. Vested one's desecration in another's dismissal. In piles of jade aside piled bodies, they wielded language, eradicated entire peoples with sound. In that utterance of violence, we now craft our joy. those ballads and tracks that swallow an ocean between islands. In that language of colonizer, we now grasp names for our young, mouth-sized melodies of home to present us to this island, tether us to our own. And my name, contrived in a moment for ancient crumbs of earth, followed the lip of the Caribbean Sea to our island and my family, who carried it in unborn thoughts to this island at the joint of the ocean's palm and the Hudson's stretch. Exorcised from grandmother's migration, J, my name resurfaced in frequencies of English, jade. The Mayans placed jade beads in the mouths of their dead to capture the dying spirit in their final breath. Their tongues watered seeds of rebirth for the gods, but renamed vessels do not know their purpose. Spirits tether to slowly dying flesh. I am a vessel, renamed and renamed and renamed.
Okay, exactly. All right. I just needed to like exhibit what speechless looked like. You feel me? Wow. Honestly, this was absolutely remarkable. And now I have the distinct pleasure of passing the microphone over to our CEO, the one Michael Cirelli. Make some noise.
Hello, peace, y'all. Thank you, Roya, for keeping the energy high and for showing love to these poets. This is just an amazing program. I've gotten to see every Youth Poet Laureate finals in New York City for the past 12 years. And before that, we were planning that program for 2 years prior to that. So I feel like a large part of my life has been involved with this incredible program. We couldn't do it without a couple of key sponsors and partners. All those years ago, we had New York City Votes that had come to us, and they really wanted to activate young people around voting. And how timely is that now, given that we have an election next week? Everyone, please go out and vote. And so we couldn't do it without New York City Votes. I want to give a shout out to Olivia, who you heard from earlier, as well as Sabrina, who have been our partners in this program. We've also had some really incredible support this year for the program. And I want to really thank the Book Industry Guild of New York, who gave a very great donation to this program and this event this year. We gave stipends to all of our poets, and they had an incredible writing workshop series that was led by Roya. Also want to thank Puma, who came in the last minute and gave us another donation to support this program. Of course, one of our partners that's been with us for many years is Con Edison, as well as the New York Parks, Harbor, and Conservancy. I also want to thank the Urban Word staff, Chanel Gabriel, our Deputy Director, Mahogany L. Brown, our Artistic Director, Marissa Lewis, our Development Director, and our incredible Board of Directors. We have a new board chair this year, Eric Adisa, who I want to give a shout out as he starts this new year, galvanizing our whole board. And last but not least, I want to shout out our merch campaign. We have some really exclusive t-shirts that come with a donation. For the young people, wait until Thanksgiving and the prices will go back down to regular prices. Right now, any donation of over $100, you'll get a really cool t-shirt and you'll support a good cause, a program like ours. So traditionally, we've been doing this since the beginning. The second round of the slam, it's a shorter poem that you'll hear, and it's usually geared around voting, civic engagement, social justice, because that's really what these young poets are about. They're not only incredible poets, but they've really dedicated their craft to social impact, and you've already heard that thus far. Before we get into that round, we're going to queue up a really powerful video voter poem. This fall, we worked with the incredible organization Sankofa, which was founded by Harry Belafonte, and we did a number of poems that were informing the general public about voting, the district attorney, like you heard earlier from Haviland, the National Youth Poet Laureate. So we're going to share this poem that was actually created by Mira Dasgupta, the National Youth Poet Laureate, and a designer from Rhode Island School of Design who animated the whole video. You'll get to see a bunch of those video voter poems on our YouTube page shortly after tonight. So without further ado, let's cue up that video and show that poem before we get into the second round. Thank you all for supporting, and have a great rest of your night.
Armor. A hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. Christopher Reeve. America was bred from ink and unbreakable union. With the turn of the decade, I expected the nation to remember its history at the brink, to be remade with revolution and evolution as a priority in which the people make up the majority of the solution. Instead, I found a country at a cliffhanger which hangs its citizens, close contact prohibited, people praying for their dead, a movement restabilizing the foundations of this nation built upon the condemnation of those who were born to be the concrete soot and sand grounding upturned limbs. It is no wonder that these wounds bleed black. The blood is a dead man's armor. The blood is an armor turned sword. The sword inks a body and its babies unto America and its unifying words, students, fists raised in protest, neighbors, hand in hand uplifting the rest, frontline workers, besting a virus which left us unfiltered and alone. From our homes, we stand united. Vote not as an individual, but as one of a lineage knighted by the pen, not the hand. It is during these uncertain times that we must understand the bones and lessons of those who've come before. To not ignore the horizons above crashing, turbulent shores. To not ignore the cost, for there is so much left in store, for it is only when we continue to swim, continue to rise and make ourselves known that we, as the people of this nation, can truly learn to mend and grow.
I mean, yes, remarkable. Thank you so much to Cirelli for that information. And thank you so much to Mira again for her voice on these very important matters. We are now jumping into our lightning round, okay? The poets will go in reverse order for this lightning round. We put the thing down, we flipped it, and we reversed it, right? And so I will be introducing all of them by name at the top of this round, and then they will just unmute themselves, spit fire. You'll have time to snap, clap, virtually, comment, process, and it'll be quick because it's a lightning round. So it's gonna blow by. So make sure that you're listening attentively. So the order of poets for this round is Jade, Sue, Olu, Maya, Marissa, Elizabeth, Tia, Leila, Serena, Jalissa, Jennifer, Sandy, Khadija 2, Nathaniel Swanson, and then Nathaniel Valdivieso. They all know which order they are going in because we've gone over this extensively and I trust them. So please make some noise for the first poet up for this round, Jade Lozada.
Mr. Vice President, my eyes teared up today at your words of unity, but I have to tell you, I let them dry in shades between our skin, where hope breathes from hue. In the valleys of your voice between freedom and liberty, on the grave of 30 minutes ago and our universality, and a me who grew fat and happy on meals of 50 stars and starved on the 51st, who thought her mouth greedy, whose skin, body, and therefore home are designated territory, ineligible for a white star, but she may stick her love on the kitchen window in blue or gold, who learned liberty by deprivation, indentured to your false declaration, a citizen, no state, a citizen, no senator, a citizen, no seat in the House is a citizen, censored. Here's my question. Were we supposed to be sated, satisfied, or silenced by a passport without a ballot? Mr. Vice President, Puerto Ricans ever imprisoned for dreams independent? Is the colonial condition of a revolution ascendant?
There is no way out. The only way that will be heard is right here. Vote not only to vote him out, not only to reform and change, but vote to have that say. Vote for those being incarcerated for minor drug affiliations and those who were raised here but still told that they don't belong. Vote to bring our friends' families back. A while ago, this girl I knew was posting about her mama being taken, and all we could do was pray that America won't keep those 3 Ks. November 3rd will bring it back. The revolution is starting on our backs. But step 1 is to rise. Step 2 is to dig inside and vote for what you know is right. Can't carry the weight of your parents' beliefs on your back. Don't say that it doesn't matter to me or that your vote doesn't matter, so why even care? But it's not just a vote anymore. It's the future. It's for our kids, their kids' kids. Vote to be heard, or else we'll be silenced and we'll never rise up.
I spy with my little almond brown eyes a land so rich in culture yet so poor in ethics. Race didn't exist, but like butter they spread it. No matter what my name is, I'm Negro by nature. And they scream, protect the Black woman. I say, I dare you take her. I approach thy enemy with full armor and red eyes. So he prepares for my rival with a value pack of bullshit lies. See, I'm heavily equipped with something that they can never see coming. I have the blood of another unarmed Black man named Christ in my right pocket, and education, intelligence, wisdom, and understanding in my left. I got votes, activism, and art in my back, and just like that, my gun go clack. I take out the target bullseye. Racism, sexism, patriarchy, and their kids could go die. Slave patrol are cops, slaves are inmates, and they want me to believe it's not intended, it's just a glitch. Not the 3, 2, or the 1. So the next time they call me the angry Black woman, then rightfully so, let me be that bitch.
If you wanted me to stay in a child's place, America, all you had to do was ask. But what exactly is a child's place since you forced me into adulthood? The color of my brother's skin determines whether or not he'll come home in a body bag, because murderers parading around in white skin holding a badge do not wait until you're 18 to kill you. Bullets will quicker make a home out of my body before I turn 18, before you can get us stricter gun laws, but apparently school shootings and gun violence ain't my business. My mother's time and energy don't mean anything to you since it still ain't equivalent to the white man's dollar, and things in the hood are starting to disappear. Gentrification is erasing all the color, raising all the numbers. It is both a miracle and privilege. I've lived in the same house for 17 years. All you taught us in school was that once we turn 18, we're allowed to vote. Never really explained the whole process. I learned off of YouTube we can vote in local elections too. Seems to me voter suppression starts with a severely underfunded education system, but again, I am not allowed in grown folk business. I wish I could vote away the suppression of Black women. I wish I could vote away medical racism. I wish I could vote away student debt. I wish, is it becoming clear? What good will staying in a child's place do me if it kill me before I come of age? Tell me, America, at what age am I no longer a child? At what age am I allowed to have a say?
I got a toolbox. It's unlike my mama's and her mama's. My mama's toolbox got a lever in it. Red bar that she'll let me pull with all my might, still in my school polo and flower barrettes. She got it from the elementary school, turned fork in the road, turned decision maker. Her toolbox has switches before I replaced it with paper. It's organized with black curtains that hid her body and mine. Her toolbox is maintained by older seniors at white tables filled with red and blue, who coo at me and let me through. Fast forward, my toolbox doesn't have paper or switches. My toolbox has a countdown calendar with my birthday circled in bold orange. It has Black Lives Matter murals intersecting identities that are all ranked equal to me, but to others are labeled like 1, 2, and 3. It has figurines of buildings like Planned Parenthood and Town Hall, because life imitates art and my art is reflecting what's needed to me. My toolbox got an attitude from the books within, now fight for Gaia and against Aries. My toolbox, like a magician's box, will pull out action in the form of protest that transcends its 4 walls. It got voice that'll stand on stage like the Sorting Hat and scream pro-choice. My toolbox got a lot of things and ain't like the ones from Bob the Builder. My toolbox was not given to me by the polls. It was made by me, a creator. But age is not going to be the cutoff that stopped me from voicing my definition of the revolution.
My father watches Fox News, eyes glued to Tucker Carlson, preaching picket fence scripture through pearly whites, tells you America is burning, but lights a cigarette with the ashes. My father clings to every word like prayer, but my father hasn't been to synagogue in 4 years. Papa, can't you see? The Golden Gates are rusting. My father's passed out before the TV set. By the time I'm waking up to skies choked with 130-degree flames and tear gas fumes. When they ask what travels faster, speed or sound, answer bullet hole, answer broken promise, answer none of the above, answer America is bleeding, but I never learned first aid, who my representatives are, or that a voice is worth dying for. But damn, do I know my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to save the planet, switch around a few zip code digits and spell death sentence. America is bleeding, but I never learned first aid. How can we keep our hands steady while pen pricks paper like needles stitch red, white, and blue back together? A ballot slip isn't a golden ticket, but you taught me to show up, speak up, even when America gut punched your gutturals. Before you wake up, I'll be waiting online. This time, silence is not on the ballot box.
In elementary school, there were days when the classroom was cold, when our minds dried up and our hands grew limp. But when that happened, our teacher would sigh, slowly reach under his desk, and as his expression transformed into a smile, he would pull out a piece of candy. Suddenly, the sun burst through the windows and began embracing everyone in the room with its warmth. Hands were energetically raised as if we were all competing to see how far we could stretch before our arms detached from our bodies. That was the power of incentive, strong enough to transform a war zone into the busiest of tourist destinations. It is the power of doing something not because there's something to be done, but because there is a reward. Because there is a jumbo sour cherry lollipop balancing on the edge of your palm, representation is just as sweet. The more hands we point towards a certain direction, the more changes will stop looming over our heads and fall into our fingertips. Policies do not change when the sun goes down, but if we march together, we could stop seeing Black bodies on the sidewalk. We could reduce the wage gap to an infinitesimal speck, and we could trample injustice with a heap of ballot boxes. when we step outside of ourselves and realize that every action isn't deserving of an immediate prize, of a fiery blood-red ball of sugar on a plastic stick, we become more aware of the consequences of our actions, and we value more.
Thank you for coming in today. I am so happy you did. Proud of you. The first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. Let's start with your home life, or 3.5 million homeless life. Where are you from? Indigenous or immigrant? Is the blood you stand on yours to claim? You haven't been sleeping right. I know your chest aches keep you awake, but stress will make you sick, and you can't survive on disability checks. Will your insurance cover this session? Don't worry. Maybe it won't get worse again. It's a beautiful day somewhere where the sky isn't red. Let's talk about your anger management. I know the rage refuses to settle, that it burns through everything you know as raised fists are pulled into handcuffs and guns laugh in their holsters. When you scream till your voice mourns itself and no one comes to the vigil. And there is more to do after the vote, but we have a problem, and we need to take the first step.
"5 days after I step foot into this country for the first time, I pledge allegiance to the flag. I put my right hand over my heart and say, I pledge. I pledge, and in the meantime, the graves dig themselves. The bodies make their own beds. The dirt soils itself red, and we call it fertile, land for the taking. My sister moves away to college, and the flag still hanging at the front of my classroom calls me an alien. I become an aunt, and somewhere, the bombs are still falling. For 13 years, I open my palm to find only my own heart. Like you, I am afraid of many things. At a cafe, I sit across from a friend and I ask her when she's going to the polls. As I watch her consider her schedule, I wait. And I wait even as the table burns between us and the cream-colored walls crumble to dust and the soy lattes and chai tea spill all over the floor. And why am I still waiting? Hand over my heart, looking so citizen-like, my Sunday best, my perfect English, my American friend, who, in a moment, will pick her chai tea off the floor and go vote.
I bend down on one knee and tie grandma's laces. The only authoritarian I've ever respected. Today, I go with grandma to vote. I turned 18 in February. That means I'm technically an adult. My heart still bubbles with kid-like excitement, and my stomach is a cocoon bursting with caterpillars learning to fly for the first time. At the polling site, I stand adjacent to my dad, unaware of my personal paparazzi. I guess he's as excited as I am, but on neither of our faces does it show. I stare at the ballot, notice the House representative, my neighbor called a sellout, the councilman, my friend called a house Negro. My eyes roll at all the names I taught my pen to be allergic to, then my brows furrow. As I realize those are the only names I know and think, maybe I'm not as prepared for this as I thought. I scour the different offices and choose what seemed like women, then choose what seemed like Black candidates, hoping to filter the Caucasian out of a name and wonder if this is what it's like to be on this side of the hiring table.
My mother speaks ballot box about as well as she speaks English. Curves her tongue around the shape of democracy, but is never quite able to make out the sound. The only voice that matters isn't the one she holds in her throat. Accessibility isn't a priority unless they're trying to win the Latinx vote. Even then it's censored. My mother speaks election about as well as she's been taught to. Is only fed half truth, hungry, stomach empty from the lack of worth this government has placed on her, is the essential worker, is the consumer, is there for every hiccup or fuck up this country goes through, cries at every bullet bin tragedy, is scared like every other mother, it could have been her daughter, cheers after every explosion of firework on the 4th of July for an independence that will never be her own. She loves this country more than I do, protects it like it's her kin, picks up its battered, its broken, its bruised, its bone, carries it back to her home, sings to it under her blanket, and nurtures it back to health. My mother speaks pride and patriotism like she values it with all her life, even though this country has never valued hers, believes in change, even though they've never managed to make it for us, and still, with her tongue cut out lying next to her, voice discarded, she will sing this country a love song anyways.
I never liked philosophy. The theories of old white men from the 1640s are just as relevant as bedtime stories. But John Locke got one thing right. People are born equal with natural rights. To life, at age 3, children start asking questions. What does it mean to vote? Why are the other kids avoiding me? At age 5, we start separating reality from fantasy. Maybe it's not the secondhand Converses you're wearing, but you. To liberty. At age 7, you learn that 2 is prime, but not why the janitor, working 15 hours a day, still cannot afford the rent with this pay. 9. The news anchor claims that a domestic terrorist wears a hijab, but not if someone pulls the trigger in a school hallway, in an innocent person's home at midnight, or frankly, even on the street in broad daylight. To property. At age 15, you study the periodic table of elements. Your representatives in Congress are apparently less relevant. 17. You're tested on the 27 amendments, but some judges don't even remember the first sentence. 18. Congratulations, you're an adult. You want to change things? Then vote. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't give you your ballot. You're not a citizen.
My people rip through the shading on your ballots, tear apart all the pretty words you've accumulated, bend and break the choices you've given us to die by. Our demands do not fit in the lines of your writing. Your ballot's never been quick enough to end a revolution. I do not expect you to swoop in some savior and finally let us free. We already know it don't work like that. No, the sheet of paper's heavy in my hands. Almost in exchange, making up for the weight of humans, you've renamed felon, renamed alien, renamed territory the way you tell me don't exactly exist right now. Only on your terms. No, I do not cast this vote hopeful, praying on your promises. 100 years of vote later and not a damn president change or law made or senator elected that's seen us yet, freed us yet. There's still a whole lot more work left to be done. A whole lot more votes to be counted and accounted for. 100 years of vote later, and we probably better off freeing our damn selves.
So I'm standing by the cooler at this cookout next to this annoying ass kid smelling like smoke and outside when I spot cousin Kamala walking in my direction with a fake ass smile. Now, I don't like cousin Kamala. My mama says she put people in cages and snitch like nobody's business. She see me see her. Jokingly asks, what's for all the beef? But I don't hear her though. I want to say, sis, you brought the pork with you and still managed to complain, but I think I just asked who invited you. And she says something like cousin Joe, who ain't even really my cousin, but always be at the functions. Matter of fact, last time I checked, he was hiding behind a black cent on Twitter and telling Congress that Kente is the new wolf's disguise. I do not like cousin Joe. Optimus Prime Kamala smile goes sideways. Says family is family and it's either their company or the annoying ass kid throwing a tantrum. So I shut up when Kamala digs her gun into my back and we go find cousin Joe together.
My tia is the most patriotic person I know. She shows me museums on her phone, tells me how I can get in for free, tells me to learn about the country I was born in, one she adopted at 20, yet she loves this country like her own. I turn on Fox News. I hear patriots slam her people into walls of prejudice. My people across borders they don't belong. Ours into a tank top and gold chain, a blue collar, job thief into the enemy. I take the ferry with her. Watch her point out ruins on New York Harbor. For her, history starts before 76. Before the Hudson River ran red, she's come to appreciate what she's fought for. Because she's got a nephew who dreams. Is a dreamer. His mother caught up with the wrong guy trying to make it one more year to get her green card. My tia has a memory of the years before she got her papers. She holds a ballot and knows only what it cost her. I turn on the news again. Hear patriots talk about the post office like a strategy, because they would rather gerrymander away her sacrifice, build walls, and tell people like her to be content with what America drains. I listen to them try to love what they've never worked for. They try to take pride in something they can never understand. They don't know how to love this country.
What is the most beautiful thing? Speak its name aloud. Imagine every time you get a good thing, one of the most beautiful things must die. Imagine the good thing you get is justice. How many beautiful things will die for that? For insert name. You never realize how to label a dream until you want to tell your children apart. You never realize you'll forget how to tell your children apart when you have a stomach full of shrapnel from some other mother's son. You don't want your baby to die on a cross like insert name, or in a crosswalk like insert name. You don't want him to be like insert name, lying in the middle of the street, not another insert name crying he can't breathe, or insert name shot on that doorstep, because black fist against door equates fist against body, and here guns ring out more than doorbells do, or insert name's brains splattered in that alley, because a cell phone can be a lot of things in the dark, but an unregistered 9mm semi-automatic can only be one thing: an eraser, a broken taillight in broad daylight, a reaper, an eye contact, a blank check, a knife, a death wish. You ain't gonna let your son go out like how they let insert name run, just far enough to think himself whole before they shot. You won't let the last time you see him whole be like when they threw insert name in the back of that van, hands cuffed behind his back like insert name, but he still managed to shoot himself like insert name, his spine in pieces like insert name. You want him to be home. Like when they put curfew on insert name soul, too black to be out at night. You ain't gonna be asking the news why they say insert name when they really mean insert name. Got Obama and Kamala calling us insert name like they don't sit around calling them insert name, because isn't that the right word? And we know all lives matter except insert name, and how lucky am I to have insert name in my bloodline, pushing my pen from heaven holy, the way I flap my gums and show the world the fist in my throat in honor of insert name. But my mother begs me home from the protest, says she can't go through what she went through with insert name, says this hype over insert name will die just like insert name. And I tell her, I would rather die for insert name 1 billion times than die like insert name once. Word, this has been a phenomenal, outstanding, incredible showcase. I've been honored for the last 8 weeks to work with these beautiful, astounding, and I will go as far as to say brilliant, and know the weight that that holds, young people, right? They've opened up these prompts that I've offered them in ways that I could have never imagined, right? And they came together, they memorized their work, they learned it, they wrote it, they really edited it, honestly, until the last minute when I was like, screw it, you gotta stop, right? They really put in all of the necessary work that they had to do. So it's definitely, it hasn't been easy to try to narrow down who our fellows will be and who our YPL will be. But, you know, ultimately it had to come to a decision. And we had some phenomenal readers of the work and judges. A1 John Sands, who is a former facilitator of our YPL program, and Carlos Andres Gomez, who is a phenomenal author, poet, writer, who really lent their eyes to the work of these young scholars and assisted me in making this decision. So I believe I can share the screen somehow with Mira. I think you could pin us both. And we are, well, I'm gonna silence myself and I'm going to allow Mira to do the magic of introducing who our fellows are and then announcing our 2020 to 2021 New York City Youth Poet Laureate. Actually, really quickly, I'm sorry, Mira. I would be remiss if I also didn't mention this was not an easy task, us doing this work online. We had a fellow who had to leave for personal reasons. So I want to honorably mention Catherine Sanchez, as well as a stellar, star, impeccable fellow, the one James Larison, who put all issues and all egos aside to be here and support his YPL cohort and is on the Zoom with us today. So I just want to make sure that I give special attention to James. And now, of course, Mira, it's all you. I'm done.
Okay, so I'm so sure that this was probably a difficult decision. I could never make it. I'm so glad I couldn't, because what I witnessed was a testament to youth voice. So now announcing the 2020 New York City Youth Poet Laureate Fellows: Sandy Tan, Leila Diaz, Nathaniel Swanson, Elizabeth Schwartz, Jennifer Martinez, and Jade Lozada. So first of all, I just want to say congratulations to you all for this fellowship. And now I have the honor of announcing the 2020 Youth Poet Laureate, New York City, Serena Yang.
Serena, you can unmute yourself and give a thanks.
Wow, I'm just, wow, I did not prepare anything to say. I'm just really not, I just was not expecting this, but thank you all. This is just like the greatest honor to just read along all of you and write with all of you this past month. And I'll just really like to thank everybody in the Zoom call right now and all the folks at Urban Word, Roya and Chanel and everyone else who've just helped me so much in these past few years. And just, wow, thank you. I'm really honored. I'm really excited.
Yes, thank you. Thank you to all the, could we have all the fellows on the screen right now? You all did such remarkable work. Honored and proud to work with you all. You are all always and consistently forevermore going to be Urban Word family.
Woo! Period! Period. Y'all were amazing.
He did that, period.
Are we still live on Facebook?
Yes, you are.
Oh.
We just want to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you all so very much. Oh, we're not live no more. Great. Phenomenal. Phenomenal.